I'm now joined by Dr. Matthew Windsor, Associate Professor in Public International Law. Welcome to you. So, first of all, I'd like to ask you about the areas of law that you can study at Nottingham and the different types of specialisms that exist.
Sure. So, we currently specialize in 5 primary areas in the law school, and I might kind of speak about them and maybe the highlight modules that you can take in them for a couple of moments. So, on the corporate side, we have an international business and commercial law program where you can study topics such as corporate finance law, corporate insolvency law, and global competition law and international business. We also have a cutting-edge program in the field of technology and intellectual property law with very popular courses on subjects such as law, artificial intelligence, and robotics. And we actually at the law school have a law and tech lab where you're able to have exposure to kind of emerging technologies and robots as you're studying. On the kind of public international law side, we have programs which have been long-standing in the field of human rights law, where you can study subjects such as technology and human rights, business and human rights, children's rights, as well as a long-established public international law program where there are a range of subjects that you can study: international criminal law, international humanitarian law, international disaster law, which is an emerging field. But if you're coming to Nottingham and you're not particularly certain which of these you might like to do, we also have what is known as the Masters of Law, where you can choose from a range of modules across all of those programs, mixing and matching to put together a program that you're particularly interested in. Perhaps what I would say about all of the programs I've discussed is that students have the option to do a core module where every student taking that program is in one place at one time, a really great opportunity to build community amongst students who are interested in the same thing. And then you choose 5 subjects from a wide range of them. The other one that I should mention is a collaboration between law and sociology and social policy, which is an MA in criminology and criminal justice, where students have the opportunity to study issues at the intersection of human rights and criminal law.
And in terms of some of the world-leading research that the University of Nottingham is involved in, how can students benefit from that research?
Okay, so we have a long tradition of being very committed to research-led teaching. So the professors that you'll study with generally have a very focused research background in what you're being taught. One of the key ways that you kind of have exposure as a student to the research specialisms within the school is through having a particular supervisor appointed for your dissertation. So we are very careful to match expertise between what a student is passionate about and what a member of the school can kind of help support. More generally, though, we have a number of research centres at the School of Law, which tend to correlate quite nicely with the areas that students study in our postgraduate programs. So we have a long-established human rights law centre, a commercial law centre, a criminal justice centre, as well as some that perhaps don't directly align with the master's program, but one that students really enjoy attending seminars and events at. So we have a history of law and governance centre, for example. The last thing I would mention about those centres is that during a master's with us, there are often opportunities to engage in placements or internships that might be relevant to that area of study. So in the past, we've sent students to the World Bank in Washington, D.C., and more recently than that, we've had students undertaking research for various officials at the United Nations on issues such as climate change and human rights.
So there's lots of developmental opportunities, as you mentioned there. So how does that help get students into a career when they graduate, and what are some of the roles that they could be involved in?
It's a good question. At school, faculty and university level, there's a lot of support around employability. At the law school, we're very careful in the way we assess our students to offer what we describe as authentic modes of assessment that might be relevant to them in the workplace in the future. So rather than writing essay after essay after essay, you may be involved in advising a client or drafting a policy brief. To further support students, we also have an in-house legal skills team, which I think is particularly beneficial for students who are either studying law for the first time or perhaps come from an international background in terms of developing their legal skills while they're with us. The other thing that we're really strong on at the law school is taking advantage of our brilliant global alumni network. So we have a lot of connections with industry and the legal profession. And we often have guest speakers supporting our students from leading law firms, Clifford Chance, Freshfields, Hogan Lovells. But another thing I think that's really important to mention about our law programs is that it's a great credential even if you're not convinced that you want to be a lawyer. So there are amazing opportunities in government, NGOs, international organizations afterwards. And a lot of the events that we hold in the research centers are very much a kind of outreach exercise to expose students to a number of different kind of areas of practice after they graduate.
And is there anything extracurricular that students can do whilst they're studying that might, help them in the future?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, there are a huge number of student societies, both specific to the law school as well as more general university ones. So kind of thinking at law school level, there are kind of Amnesty International groups, as well as on the kind of corporate side, a range of different kind of student union groups that invite kind of barristers and leading partners from law firms to the law school to discuss that with them. I think it's also probably a good opportunity to mention just how beautiful the campus is. This is something that I know a lot of my students comment on when they first arrive in Nottingham. There are also world-class gym facilities. The David Ross Sports Village is amazing, as well as a lot of kind of arts and cultural experiences that students can get involved with on campus. So there's a lakeside arts facility that I really recommend to students as well.
Well, thank you so much. That was really great, and thank you for joining me today.